First on the agenda is public comment. If there is anyone from the public here who would like to make a comment, it looks like there is not. All right, so next on the agenda is the swearing in of our new trustee. Yay! So come up. Where should we do it? Over here, probably. So it's full view of the camera.
Yes, right here.
All right, ready? I, Thomas McCarthy Jr.,
I, Thomas McCarthy Jr.,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the Office of Trustee of the Albany Public Library
of the Office of Trustee of the Albany Public Library
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability. And now I join.
Don't sign
Yes.
it yet.
Okay.
Thomas, you can sit there,
Right
but
there.
I need to see your ID and I need to have you sign it so I can get it notarized and filed for you.
Okay.
So,
All right. I just want to recognize that Arlene Way had to step down for June, but she will be back and sworn in July for a full term. So she's here. All right. So recognition of outgoing trustees. Andrew Richard and Allison Killicombe. Who's doing that? Who's doing that? Okay. Oh, okay.
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
a brown paper
A brown paper
packet.
bag. You have been on the board for 11 years, or
Almost.
almost 11 years, and you're kind of our.
I can
Thank
only
you.
take it.
Yeah, please do. Important institutional memory and.
Wow, that's so nice. That's lovely.
It's lovely. Thank you so much. Hardware.
Yeah. That's very nice.
Thank you very much for your service.
Well-
We'll miss you.
Thank you. It's really been an honor and a real privilege working with the board. And, the staff has always been just phenomenal. And I cannot say enough about the staff. And I can't say enough about my fellow trustees either because they, volunteer their time and sometimes a great deal of time, as you know. And it's just been a really wonderful experience. And, starting in 2008, there were some really good things about Albany and maybe some not so good things. And now it's better. And the library is a lot better. And I'm really, really proud of the work that we've done over the several years. So I'm very sad to leave, but you're in a really good spot, and there's a lot of great improvements that still can be made. So I'll stop talking.
That's all great, also. Thank you very much.
Hey, Andy.
And Allison couldn't be here tonight, and I asked her if she'd be, that in July we're having a celebration, so you can come to one more meeting.
Okay, that sounds good.
With
No
food.
responsibilities, right? Just
Food.
celebrating, right?
Just celebrating, right? You do not have to vote or read the packet.
It's a lovely picture.
All right. Next up is the board docs presentation. Are you going to get it right now? Great.
Unfortunately, we
For me.
can't go too much.
Oh yeah, can't go much further.
Okay, can everybody see? And Arlene, you probably want to, can you see it? Okay. So, well, that's exciting. So at the retreat, we talked about some new communication tools. And one of those is board docs, which is going to facilitate the end of the packets. So that these are going to be electronic, things can be updated electronically, and easily shared with trustees and the public. So Rebecca's going to tell us more about how it works.
So board docs is a way for our board packets to be completely paperless. And it is a very user-friendly website. But the biggest thing is you log in and you must log out, because we always have to remember that if you don't log out, it's all public access. So you may have access to confidential information that's not ready for the public yet. So that's why it's so important to log out. Everybody has received their information for Albany Public Library's email, so that's the login information, and also a little slip with your username and your password. Right now, standard, you'll be required to change it when you log in. So what you do is you just go to boarddocs.com, and everybody's will look the same. Right now, I'm going to log in under one of the trustees. Oh, of course.
Brenda, did you get a notice of the new email address? Okay. So- Has anybody tried their email address yet?
Yeah.
Try not to have it saved. Okay, so I'm under one of your logins, and this is what it shows up as. This is also what the public will see. So it gives you a little blurb down here, and also for other information, contact myself. All of this is able to be edited, so we can change the picture. We can really customize this, which is pretty nice. So right now, it's beautiful. So what you'll do as a board member is you'll click on meetings, which is up here. You click on meetings. For you, and for the public, it will only show you active meetings. So meetings that have already happened or that are happening right now, like today. So for today, well, actually, I'll show you an old one, because what's nice about an old meeting is I've also linked our YouTube video. So for the public who wants to watch the whole meeting, it's right on the first page. All they have to do is watch the video. If they want to check out the agenda from the past, they have that capability as well. They just click on View Agenda, and all of the categories, the topics are there. So
Can you show the links?
So right now, I'm going to show you this month, because it's kind of cool. So this is today's meeting, June 11th, here it is. Of course, there's no video yet, because we are on YouTube right now. View the agenda. So we call to order. Now, every time we'll always have the call to order. Now, anything that's attached, like the board packet, any supporting documents, here's the full printout of the agenda that we're going to have today. So, with that, you just click on the little paper icon, and that'll show you the next part. So the next section that we would talk about normally is our minutes, and the recommended action, of course, is the motion to accept the minutes, and also, so I'll record all of that as I'm doing the minutes behind the scenes. But you will see here is any attachment. Here's the minutes from last month that we will be talking about, okay? So every time there is an item that has a supporting document, it will be right next to the item. You'll see that there's a supporting document. Public comment, clearly there's nothing there. We don't know if it's gonna happen or not. So there's nothing. But as if you see a little paper icon, that means there's going to be some supporting documents. And for instance, for the check register, because Adam brings the most current one to the meetings, if I were to get that like the morning of the day of, I could always just put that on here, so he doesn't have to worry about bringing in paper anymore. That's the whole premise of paperless board docs. It's pretty nice. And we can always add pictures, we can make this really interesting to look at. So all of this is here. Now, if you notice, if I go back to meetings, click on today, view the agenda, see where it says administrative content and executive content? Everybody here is categorized. Karen, Scott, and Bob will be categorized as executives, so they can see administrative and executive. Board members will see all the things the public sees plus anything administrative. So perhaps there was going to be an executive session planned for that evening, and there may be supporting documents. That's not ready for the public to see, but we want you to see it. So I will, and I'm the only, myself and Stephanie are the only people that can upload any information. We're the only ones who can change anything on this. So if there's going to be an executive session tonight, and he has some information that he wants to talk about, I'll put it in under administrative so the board members can see it, but the public cannot. Okay? And then if Scott and Karen and Bob want to have their own additional confidential information that they need in there for some reason, but they don't want the board members to see it, then I'll put it under executive content. So it really depends on the level of permissions. But basically, you just click on the agenda item and then look at the supporting documents. It's that easy. And these are live, so this is what the public can see right now. And I already have it set up for the rest of the year. And of course, they will not go live until I submit it on Friday, and it'll go live at midnight on Saturday. So it's always out to the public, it's technically Friday night, Sunday morning, Saturday morning at midnight. Okay. Any questions?
So would we only be able to see the agenda when the public can see it?
I have it set up right now that you can see the draft.
Okay.
You can see the draft, but the public cannot. So it'll be live to the public at the midnight deadline.
So when we get the draft,
You
board
will not be
packet.
notified, like I'll have to email you if the
Right.
draft is out, but otherwise there's no like email notification, nothing like hey, this has been posted or some, no, it's not.
But you would
But I
email
can.
us and say, hey, the draft is out, take a look,
Yep.
see questions about
Yep, absolutely.
it. Okay. Questions?
Do you think there's going to be an Android app so we can manipulate this through an app?
You know, I don't know that. However, there is a conference in Orlando in September,
You gotta go.
and they will be talking about that, but I might not know unless I go. So, I'm just saying. I'm just
Wow, you
saying.
made him blush.
But it's a website, Matthew. It's a website, so you should be
Yeah,
able to
it's
see
just
it.
harder to use as a website on
Yeah.
your phone.
Yeah.
And it's
Right.
easier when it's set up for an app to.
So like we talked about at the retreat, I will be lugging Chromebooks with me, and each branch probably has a few that we could use if I don't have enough. Right now I do have a bunch with me, just in case anybody wants to see it at some point, but this is all you're going to see. But when we go live and start using it, I don't know, Karen's deadline, maybe July, hopefully, maybe?
That's what we talked about.
Then I'll hand out Chromebooks if you don't already have some sort of way of seeing it, because your phone's not it's not gonna be sufficient.
So you had a
This
question?
is way better. No, she answered it.
Is there a place to store documents like the bylaws here, or is that?
We can, and also, if we click
There's a
on policies,
policies
this is
area.
something interesting as well. If we click on policies, it's gonna bring us right back to our beautiful website with all our policies. So it'll just be linked. But yes, we can look into how we could store like the bylaws and stuff like that. We can look into that. Another cool thing about board docs is because this is a subscription service, we have access to see everybody and anybody who subscribes to board docs, all of theirs, as all of their documents and live meetings as well. So if we wanted, and all of our stuff gets archived, we could look through it, we could search, what did people talk about Fine Free? and we can look through board docs and see everything that consists of fine free. So there's that search capabilities as well.
Any other questions? Oh.
How much, what's the annual subscription?
I don't remember the exact annual subscription. I want to say it's $1,500 a year. Yeah, and that's after the initial setup charge.
And what's the setup charge?
$3,000. And that included training. That includes my conference ticket. That includes the complete 24/7 help services, the public access, the searching capabilities.
Do you know if their annual subscription price is trending down or trending up?
I don't know. I do know that they are merging with a Canadian company who is similar. And they have already, the Canadian company and Board Docs are combining both of their technology and their services together, and that's what they will be also discussing at the conference. So that way we can know where they're going, and they're changing, and they're going to be becoming more tech savvy, but like there are some things that one company does better than the other. So that is something. I won't know.
And there are different levels, so we have kind of the lowest
Yeah, we
level
have a basic.
right now. And we'll see how it works. And
Yep. Yeah, we can upgrade at any time if we find that's necessary. Okay.
thanks so much, Rebecca.
Thank you.
All right, so next I'll take a motion to approve the minutes from the May 14th regular meeting.
Make that motion.
Okay, Sandy, second. Second, thank you, Brenda. All in favor?
I have a point before
Oh.
we do this. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
apologize, I should have tried to get this out to y'all before today, but I didn't notice it until today. So as everybody recalls, we had a situation where we were in and out of quorum a couple times in the last meeting.
Yes.
And it recognizes that, and Becky has covered us by putting the times that people came and went. The problem is under the open meetings law, on each action item, you still have to record who voted for what thing. And when it's a static meeting, unanimous works, right? We know that everybody was here, everybody voted. But when that quorum is changing, as it did that night, different people were voting in favor of different items. So this doesn't fully reflect actually who voted on the various things. It may be tricky, although maybe Becky's notes will give us some insight as to exactly how that went down. But we can't just say unanimous because the quorum was changing and the people present were changing. So we're gonna actually, for this meeting, and any meeting where that's happening, you're gonna have to list out the affirmative votes and the negative votes. Just like you would if there were somebody voting against something.
Right.
We
So-
know when people left and came though, which might help.
Yeah, and I suspect we can piece it together. It's just right now, it doesn't have that on several of the motions that were passed.
So,
We know it was everyone who was there at that time. We have to go back and align those things with the time, unfortunately. We can watch the video.
oh, that too.
Oh, good point.
Yeah, I think things were.
So I think, this is my recommendation is that you don't approve these tonight, that you
Okay.
table them. That you just table them till next month.
Okay,
We get those, things finalized and then you approve them next month.
okay. All right, thanks for interjecting.
Sorry, it was not a little bit more timely.
All right, to be continued. And Tom, just so you know, when I learned from Bob earlier, if you're not at the meeting, you can still vote to put it, all you're doing is voting to put it into the record.
Okay.
All right, so next up is the treasurer's report on the check register. Chuck and Adam, is there anything you want to bring our attention to?
I am looking at the transactions for the month. I didn't see anything that was really tremendously out of line. So I really feel like it's just like everything just kind of just fell into place. So I don't really have anything to point out to you.
Any
If
questions?
anybody has questions, I'll try to answer it. At this point in time, I did not notice anything out of the ordinary.
Any questions on the treasurer's report? And if not, we'll take a motion on the check register.
I'll move.
Thanks, Jenna. Second. Thanks, Matthew.
May I ask about the
Questions?
vendor, the data center, who that is and what that charge is for? It was it was the
that is
second
a
to
big
last.
charge.
Yeah, I can speak to that. That's a
Thank you.
one-time annual fee it's for cloud
Yeah.
services. It's actually a company, the check right above the PNJ. It's the same business. They ask them to make the checks out to different titles. So that's what we've done here. Local company based out of Albany.
It's our annual server backup in the cloud.
Okay.
Oh, and all our museum passes, not all, a lot of the museum passes have this.
And is that an annual charge?
The data center?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a one-time, once a year.
July.
Is it prospective for the year coming up, or have we paid for the last year of
I
service?
believe this payment is for June of this year to June of next year.
Do they have any other kind of billing option? That's okay. Thank you. Thanks, Adam, I appreciate
Sure.
the background.
Any other questions on the check register? Okay, all in favor? Okay. Right, next up is committee and liaison reports. First is policy and governance.
Hi, we met on the 29th of May. We only had 2 items to review. One was the bylaws. We were doing a final review, incorporating any new changes that came out of the meeting, our previous meeting, which we had none. And Bob has reviewed the bylaws with us as well, and we should have a proposition ready for vote later on in the meeting. And we reviewed the APL policy grid, and we have proposed changes to that, and hopefully everyone received what our proposed changes were. And if you look at that grid, we wind up not really having a meeting on July and August unless we really need to or something comes up. The other thing that we will be looking at going forward will be the frequency of the actual reviews. Because perhaps maybe instead of annual, we may have a meeting or a policy that could be reviewed biannually instead of annually. So those are some of the things that we're going to look at going forward. But for now, we have rearranged policies and hopefully more conducive to meeting time and what we're doing, such as Scott mentioned about the art exhibition and moving that to January and February, so that'll be a good time to really review that. So that was our whole discussion. We had a brief meeting, and that was it.
Personnel.
Or are there any questions about
Oh, no,
P&G?
sorry.
I have one. We had talked about if the committee didn't recommend any changes, that it could just be reviewed by the committee and then not sent to the full board. How is that something we can capture on this grid?
Sure.
A committee reviewed, board reviewed.
So that'd be great. Yes.
So it would just be a report item in the committee's report. This month, we dealt with the following 6 committees. These 3 were reviewed, no changes were done. These 3 we're bringing forward. It's a great report.
Yep. Yes, you did. Okay, perfect.
Any other questions? Great, personal?
Personnel. So we, on May 15th, we didn't achieve quorum. So last evening we met. And what came out of it is we have now a process for the information we need in order to determine whether we are able to approve raises for administrative or MC staff above the threshold that we determined for Scott, that he can make the decision on his own, which was 4.5%. So our next meeting, Scott will be coming back with those items, which includes the salary within the scope of sort of similar comps locally or nationwide, depending on that particular position, as well as a number of, the general fitness of the administrative suite, who's gotten raises recently, whether it will fit into our forecast for, the future, and how everything's going. And so we will have another meeting with that information, and hopefully we'll move forward on this item. But this is a new process for this committee, so it's been, we've been figuring out what we need, understanding it, and I think we're in a good place. Anything else? Questions, comments?
Okay. There's no questions. Thank you, Jen. Director's report.
So coming up at APL, the Summer Reading Challenge for children, teens, and adults starts at all branches on June 17th. Several branches are hosting kickoff parties. We will share that information with you. It would be lovely to have some trustees there. The North Albany branch is hosting a discussion about city chickens with the Raddick Center in light of the pending city legislation. There will be no chickens here though, but on June 12th at 6 p.m. it'll be at this location. You'll be able to learn how to create a backyard vegetable garden with Cornell Cooperative Extension on June 17th at 6:30 at the Pine Hills branch. Howe and Partners launched the New Scene community newspaper on June 19th as part of their Juneteenth celebration. Also a reminder, on June 15th, there's the Foundation's Literary Libations Local History Pub Crawl, which raises money for the Foundation, and the tickets can be found on the Foundation's website. Looking back at May, for the 7th year in a row, the Albany Public Library hosted a free comic book day at all 7 of our locations. In the Albany Made Creative Lab, patrons baked cookies using their own customized 3D printed cookie cutters. Children at the Washington Avenue branch made elephant toothpaste as part of the Schools Out Science Fun event, and the Arbor Hill branch created large posters. I really suggest to stop by that branch to see those posters. They're awesome for its window, and what it does is it compares parts of the neighborhood today to 50 to 100 years ago. It's really great. We've gotten a lot of compliments on that. Bach hosted a Deaf Cafe, a program intended to increase awareness of death with a view of helping people make the most of their finite lives. This is actually a national trend, and it's very, very popular. Youth at the branch learned about and replicated art by trailblazing sculptors and street artists. And adult patrons of Pine Hills learned about CBD oil. Younger patrons of Pine Hills learned about plants and animals that live in the Dyken Pond. Kids at the Delaware branch enjoyed a Pinkalicious Mother's Day party. The Howe branch has a new weekly peer support group for women. And at the North Albany branch, this was really well attended. Patrons learned how to make flower arrangements with different containers. Organizationally, we're in the first phase of improvements to the large auditorium at Washington Avenue, which are nearly complete. We've actually been asked by DASNY to submit a funding request for work on a second phase of the auditorium. At first, we were a little confused about where this came from because it came from the executive office. Someone from the state assembly gave them our bullet aid request. There was a little bit of confusion and we were trying to figure it out, but we've gotten it between Adam, Rebecca, and I. We've gotten it figured out, and all the paperwork is into them, so fingers crossed. The executive director, myself, I talk to myself in the third person, I testified at the New York State 2020 Complete Count Commission public hearing. I've included those in that my testimony in this packet, and I was also invited to be on a panel by the League of Women Voters to discuss the library's roles in the 2020 census. Both of those were interesting. There is also a blog post that I recently put up which completely solidifies my view on the coming 20 census and what libraries need to do. And then a new part of this report, you will notice action items. While doing the review of the new trustee handbook, I realized one piece of my report that's been missing is a report out on action items. So I should have been reporting to you where we're at with things that you voted on last board meeting. So action items, the agreement with Bondadillo has been signed and we'll be meeting with them soon to be talking about our change in fiscal year. The art agreement has been signed by the library. We're waiting to get that back from Sage College. Has that been, that's been done, so that's signed. Our CDT agreement is signed by both parties and needs to come together and be witnessed, so that's almost completed. And the Cities Rise agreement has been signed by the library, and right now it's in City Hall's hands. So those are all the action items from last meeting. That's it in my report.
Did the Daphne referral come in from McDonald's office?
No, it just came in. They said it's from executive, but it's the same exact one we sent to McDonald's office.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, moving on. Oh, did you go over the statistics?
Stats, no.
Oh, no, I didn't. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Stats are good. My only concern is circulation is kind of flat. We were hoping for a boost in circulation. That can honestly, DVDs are tanking. Our DVD circulation is just going down. People aren't taking out as many DVDs. They're taking out a lot of television programs. So instead of grabbing a stack of 7 DVDs every time they come in the building, they grab season 2 of Game of Thrones, and that counts as one circ, but it's good enough for the week. But circulation's steady. We have seen a bump in youth circulation, and book circulation is actually holding up pretty well. What we're really excited about is our high-performing branches, Washington Avenue. In the last few months, we've seen a really great kind of increase in usage there that we're really happy with. Programming participation's up considerably across the district. It's bucking the 3-year trend, which means we're pretty steady with it. Door count is good. Room usage is really, really good. Interestingly enough, the leader in that statistic has been study rooms, but we've actually seen an increase in the use of meeting rooms lately, so we're really excited about that. Computer usage is holding steady. It's about at the 3-year trend. We saw a little bit of a dip in desktop usage, but we've actually seen a little bit of an increase in Wi-Fi usage, and we predict a little bit of a bump next month because some of our park locations will be coming online. And then I've been reporting out reference questions since that was something the board was interested in after our state report. And we're still, we see a pretty decent bump in reference questions, and we're gonna drill down on that a little bit just to see. My concern with that is accuracy. But overall, the library's performing really well.
Well, and what's a reference question?
Yeah, there's a hole. It's a hole.
Also, I do want to make a comment about the computer usage, that there is a slight dip also because to curb some of the issues at our Arbor Hill location, we did enact the daily Wi-Fi password change. So whenever we do that, there is a dip because it's not everybody just automatically.
So wait, people open up their computer and say, I have to enter a new password and go away?
Well,
no.
it's more the kids that would come in to hang out and
Would automatically-
Oh, and their phones would automatically connect. Interesting.
So how difficult would it be to separate out DVDs and books?
Not difficult at all. If you want me to run we actually talked about it, doing kind of a special report on to show circulation trends with books as opposed to DVDs. We'd love to do it and also kind of show the performance of ebooks because that's growing, but it's still a small part.
actually if you go to
Stats. Yeah, it
breaks it down.
It breaks it down percentage of circulation. Right now, e-media is at 12%, which is actually pretty good, right? That's actually higher than 1, 2, 3, 4 branches. So we're seeing a good e-media circulation, but we can definitely divide out. We kind of do already, but we can create a report for the next board meeting just to show.
Well, before we do that, just is that of interest to the trustees?
Yeah, I think that is helpful.
If you go to stats, if you go to the stats website, it doesn't break it down for the library overall, but it does it for each branch. So you can actually see a performance of each collection type. Books are holding steady, juvenile print is holding steady, YA's got a little bit of a bump, that's where you see. And at Washington Avenue, you see a 10% decrease, that's like 25% of circulation. So it's big.
But so DVDs are the most circulated thing?
Oh, without a doubt.
Okay.
Of media, yeah.
Of
Of
Everything,
yeah.
yeah, I'm looking at.
Yeah, it's a big chunk. If DVDs were to disappear, we'd see our circulation cut in half from where it is right now.
Okay.
And since we're in North Albany, could you give us a little update of our, timeline with changes once this got passed by the school
So
district?
they're hoping to, last I spoke with them, they were hoping to close by August 1st, and then we would be meeting after that with the architects. Right now I have a meeting with the district on the 19th to go over some stuff and to clarify some things. So right now it's still, in the air. They need to close before they start having architects come in. I know that the Head Start classrooms through ACAP are already closed, or they're closed at the end of the month, which was a surprise to everyone. And I believe Rebecca has the Y been public with their closing date.
Yeah.
I was just at a meeting with Miguel and Jean, because we have a program at school, and we were told that it closed until August 30th.
So August 30th.
Yeah, but as far as, their members know, no one has ever come in to formally, tell us, no, I don't think it's been published in the form, but obviously word is getting out.
August 3rd is a date I've heard, I just didn't know if that's the official date. We've reached out.
And the architects are their architects?
No, it would be the school district.
School district, that's what I mean.
So I'm gonna meet with Bill Hogan on the 19th and
Didn't
get
he
it.
just retire?
He's not retired till like the 20 something.
Bill Hogan is the
District business.
Business.
Yes.
So I'll be meeting with him, and hopefully by the next board meeting have a much clearer timeline to report.
That's great news.
Yeah, it's exciting. I think that's a good time to point out that we'll probably want to have an ad hoc North Albany committee again.
Yes.
And so soon you'll be distributing the committee forms.
Yes. So
Interests.
you will all be getting an email. New trustees have already gotten it. You will be getting an email with a form that you can fill out online to provide your interests, kind of like we do every year, to provide your interests in what committees you want to be on. It will also provide a note field so that you can write, I want to stay on this committee, or I'm really interested in being in this committee, that's why, and also a place to note what committee you're currently on. If for some reason it does not work, reach out to us. We have a paper one that we can send you as well.
So, if we wanted to do this the way we did it with the branch improvement plan, there was a construction committee. So, and then that morphed into the facilities committee. So, and we worked directly with like a community group of representation. We brought plans to them. So I think we got to figure out where you want that to lie. I would suggest that it either be the facilities committee or a reconstituted construction committee, so that all the programmatic needs, meaning the construction programmatic needs, are brought into it from a organizational standpoint, not just a community standpoint, and then that works with, let's say, the North Albany Ad Hoc Committee to make sure that we're addressing community needs.
something to consider, or just use, if it worked last time with the construction committee, just use facilities and then we don't have to.
Well, that's what I'm thinking,
Create
and then
another committee.
maybe we bump up the facilities committee temporarily so that we have more than 3 people reviewing stuff, although 3 people would make things go faster than.
So that's why we're waiting till August for the facilities meeting to do their walkthrough, and that's why we scheduled the last walkthrough to be here. So, but we would definitely, I would really like to have 1 or 2 community forums where we invite the public to come in just to say, you know, what they'd like to see.
But if you recall, the way we did that with BIP was that we had something for them to respond to, which was a much better, easier way to manage expectation and we just want to make sure that we're able to build the fireplace that we want here.
Any other questions or comments from Trustee? Okay. Next up is the bylaws update. So we were presented with the draft bylaws at the last meeting. And you had met and there's no changes, right? So I will take a motion to approve the updated bylaws.
I move.
Second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Alyssa. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Right, and thank you, P&G Committee and Hub for doing that so well so quickly.
That was the least painful bylaws process I've ever been part of.
Okay, next up is the retreat update. So on June 1st, the board had a retreat down on Broadway. We spent a whole day talking about several different issues, but what I wanted to raise tonight was that one of the key things we did was the board needed to work on our objective for the strategic plan. No taxes had been identified and hadn't been assigned. So we got lots of ideas for that, and then we're reconstituting the strategic plan committee, the last one that existed, and we are meeting on July 1st, I think at 5 o'clock, and we will create tactics out of the. Oh, that's Alyssa, Sarah, and I. We will create tactics out of the notes to be presented at the next board meeting for your meeting approval. So we can move that forward. Anything else anyone wants to say about the retreat?
Had great food.
Yeah, the food was so
That's
good.
the best ever.
For several days after.
Several days. Yeah, fed whole families.
I thought that it was like a lot of progress was made. Like I left thinking I've been talking about the eagle thing for a while.
Oh.
An eagle.
Oh, yeah.
I actually meant to send that around. Does anyone have their coasters?
I intentionally didn't bring it because I didn't want somebody moving.
So we talked about our leadership styles and identified them broadly. Oh, is that Sarah? And so I actually meant to send that around. I think I can get a copy electronically and I can send that around for Arlene and Brenda if we weren't able to make it. Just ways to think about how we like to work and how others like to work and how we can accommodate other styles. Thanks. Okay, lastly, decommission request.
So we were cleaning out our storage facility in our IT department and came across many printers. And the joke was they foolishly asked librarians if they wanted to hold on to something. And the librarians, of course, said yes.
Printers. Yeah.
Even though many of these are completely out of life, they don't work. Those that do work, the maintenance kits and or toner cartridges are like $5,000 a piece. You gotta buy them on eBay and auction for them. So these are items that just are no more use to us. They've already been replaced throughout the system, so we'd like to decommission them. We have been approached by an employee who works with several community organizations, nonprofits, that actually kind of cannibalize old electronics for parts and use them for education purposes. So one of the options, we were just going to recycle them, but he's actually asked if we could also just donate them to that, some of his charities that he works with. So since we were just going to recycle them, and it actually costs us to recycle, it might be worth donating them as well.
I think that's a great idea. Can we make sure that we get letters of receipt from the organizations? Just, yeah, we've had in the past things about books being resold and that kind of dumb stuff. So just want to make sure that it's going for what we think it's going to.
Okay, do we need to vote on that? Okay, motion to decommission the printers on page 29. Thanks, Alyssa. Oh, Matt, okay, thank you. Okay, any further discussion on that? Okay, all in favor? Aye. And is there any public comments?
Can I just say one thing? Is in the future, we've been talking about the facilities committee dealing with technology, right? Did we make that change?
It's in the bylaws.
Just
We did,
yeah.
okay. So in the future, would this come to the facilities committee, maybe recommendations or?
First, but it still has to be approved by the board.
Yes, right, but it probably should come to the facilities committee, right? As part of electronic.
And we'll also be sharing that Melanie's already got a 5-year IT plan.
Oh, terrific, great.
3-year.
3-year, yes, 3 years, sorry.
That's for our agenda, okay.
5-year would be like 2 years of trying to figure out what's coming.
Can the finance committee get a copy of that too, please?
Sure. Yeah, we just made we just had a conversation with the technology changes so quickly that 5 years, it used to be, oh, you can have a computer and hold on to it for 5, 6, 7 years, but now it's like, after 3 years, sometimes the software doesn't even work on it because upgrades have been done, so.
So it's not on the agenda, but I just want to mention that it's also time for Scott's review. So assuming everybody's okay with the process we used last year, I can start initiating that. We'll send out the form so you can fill out the information, send it to him, and then we can move forward with that. Personnel committee, we'll move it forward, but I can initiate that process in the meeting. Okay. We're done with the agenda, so is there anything else that we wanted to? All right, so I'll take a motion to adjourn. Jenna, thank you. Matthew, thank you. All right, all in favor?
Hi.
Bye.